Hey guys, what's going on? Paul here. Welcome back to another Cardano video. Today I have the pleasure of being joined by BigPay, who runs a Cardano YouTube channel, one that I have been watching even before I set up my own channel here. He also runs the Bloom stake pools. So we're going to go through lots of different Cardano content today, get his viewpoints, and hopefully give you guys a better insight into Cardano and BigPay himself. So BigPay, welcome. Thanks very much for taking the time to come on.
Yeah, no problem, man. I mentioned this to you before we got on here, but it's very nice to connect with you because, I feel like you and I have a unique perspective on Cardano in the world because there are not too many people that, make cryptocurrency education videos, especially specifically Cardano, so it's nice to connect with you.
Yeah, it is. It's great to finally connect because we've probably chatted on different videos and comments and stuff like that, but it's good to finally get to meet you properly. Hopefully someday in person as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's jump into the content. Anyone watching, I will put timestamps down below of the different topics that we cover if you want to jump to anything specific. But okay, tell me how you got into Cardano, stake pools, YouTube. Where did it start, or what brought you into Cardano specifically, I suppose?
For sure. So, my whole life, I've always made YouTube videos. When I was 9 years old, was when YouTube came out, and I just sat there and I watched it all day. So I played a lot of video games at the time, and I would record those video games and upload them to my channel. I wanted to be one of the Let's Play guys, but I was too young and I was also too late to the party. So my videos never really did well. If you look at my channel now, I still have some of those old videos. And, as time went on, eventually I was running a Minecraft server, and someone initially said, "Hey man, I want to donate to your Minecraft server, but all I have is Bitcoin. Would you accept that?" And, there was no cost to rewarding them with the donation tier. So I was like, "Sure, man, I'll accept Bitcoin." I want to say that was like 2014, 2015. I didn't really think much of it until I was buying and selling computer parts. And somebody who was buying these GPUs from me said, "Hey man," he was buying two at the same time. I'm like, "Well, why are you buying two GPUs at the same time? That's weird. You can't play games on that." He's like, "Well, I mine with them." So immediately I'm like, wait, you can make money. I had like 5 GPUs sitting at home. So immediately I bought GPU risers. I started mining on them. And because I played a lot of video games in the past, and I watched how, Xbox went to Xbox 360 and Xbox 360 went to Xbox One, I was immediately in the place of, Bitcoin's not going to be around forever. Ethereum's not going to be around forever. What is, the next one going to be that I'm not going to miss out on, because I'm already clearly missing out on the mining here. And so I had another guy that came to my house and saw my miners, and he said, "Hey Peyton, have you ever heard about Cardano?" And at the time, I want to say it was probably like the 10th or the 9th, biggest. And this was in 2017. And I was like, "No, I haven't." When he started just giving me the spiel, they're removing mining. It's going to be proof of stake. They're taking the inefficiency of mining, where we're using power and also, this hardware to do nothing, because that's what it's doing. It's completing algorithms to show something that is value deterministic, right? Well, where proof of stake, you take away the energy and the hardware, and instead the value deterministic item is ADA. So immediately I started seeing, okay, you can see the next step here. You can see the evolution. And because I was late to the party, essentially, I didn't have this network effect ingrained in me. So after reading about Cardano and watching the whiteboard video, and also seeing his TED talk that was from 2015 or 2014, where he talked about 3 billion people being unbanked and how can we bridge, this legacy system into a new system. Well, the only way
was crazy to watch back now. I'll try and link that one below for anyone who hasn't seen it. If you watch that now and watch what's going on with Cardano nowadays, it's crazy to see his vision finally coming true. Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you there.
No, it's no worries, man. It is actually, it's insane. It's insane to see that someone can have a vision, especially because I'm still pretty young, man. So, seeing somebody, have a vision 6 years ago and finally enact everything that he was dreaming of 6 years ago is a very powerful inspiration for me at a young age, and it's crazy. So I saw him speak about, banking 3 billion people. How are we going to bridge these old systems with the new systems, considering the old systems hold most of the power? Well, the only way to do that is if you have all of these users, to where the legacy system has to interact with the new system to stay relevant. and immediately that just clicked with me, because why would our government adopt Bitcoin? Why would our government or our banks or, all these institutions that we have adopt a cryptocurrency when all it does is take the power away from them? The only way that they would do it is through monetary purpose, right? Incentive. And that, the 3 billion users really did stick in my head. So that from that point on, all of the mining profit that I was getting and whatever it was, Raven coin or ETH or whatever it may be, I traded every single coin that I made like a madman into Cardano. I was an ADA maximalist for years. I'm not that way anymore. I've definitely diversified out. I still believe in Cardano fully, but back then I felt like Cardano was so uniquely undervalued because of the ghost chain narrative that was so prevalent. But it was really just a project that was, trying to better the ecosystem, so.
Yeah, as well. We'll touch on the maximalist thing again as well. I think that's a good topic as well. So when you got into Cardano, then the stake pools, I suppose, was you were in college studying IT, where you were programming. So when the ITN came along, the stake pools was kind of the next thing to jump at, I suppose.
Well, I was a miner back then, as I just mentioned, and I just wanted to be a part, because also, where I was just mining in the past, it was for greed. I wanted to make more money. I was working for $8 an hour. So the idea of something sitting at home making me $5 a day was just it was just amazing, So I initially came in, for greed, but after hearing about, the financial freedom aspects and bringing in all of these users and, actually being able to better the world through governance and taking the power away from, the centralized few, I started to become very passionate about it. And I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to participate in the network and process transactions, because at the time I was very simple minded. I didn't understand NFTs. I didn't understand DeFi. The only thing that I understood was processing transactions, right? So I was like, well, how can I do this for this new network that I think will be the biggest network? So really from 2017 and on, it was always in my head that I was going to create a stake pool for Cardano and process transactions. And then when the ITN started, it was the same thing. It was, I want to be a part of this network. I'm very excited for it. And I think it was day 3 of the ITN. I set up Pay ADA stake pool. And I fell in love. I fell in love with the community, learning about all this stuff, the technical sides of it. And also you start seeing more of Charles' philosophy come out too during that time, because this one we were getting all the lockdowns. And, I was very, like most people in my country, not radicalized in a negative way, but radicalized in the sense of, I'm not just going to stand by anymore while we let certain people run the world. I'm actually going to be vocal and develop opinions. Whereas before this radicalization, I couldn't do that. So yeah, I was in school full time for computer science and engineering, and then because of what happened with the world, it was kind of a strike of luck. They moved all of my classes online. And I have ADHD. I'm not someone who can learn without being there, having something to do, somewhere to go. So I took the decision and thought, with all of the government printing, with stake pools coming out, I'm going to drop out. I had a good GPA. I was at like a 3.7 in a big university, and I dropped out. And I was like, I'm going to do this and go give it my all for probably the next 2 years and see if it works out. And if it doesn't, I'll just pick up right back where I left off for computer science and engineering. And I learned a lot. I honestly learned more about the industry and about computer science than I would have if I stayed in school. So,
yeah, I suppose it's turned out to be a completely life-changing decision for you, because the platform that you've built for yourself now, and where we are with Cardano, where I suppose we both expect, and a lot of people watching this, where they expect Cardano to go as well, things are only going to get better and better in that sense. So worked out very well in the end for you, for at such a young age to be effectively set up for the next, I don't know, potentially lifetime, with all going well, with the vision being fulfilled of what Cardano is looking to do.
Yeah, so, it's incredible, man. I never, it still hasn't set in yet, I don't think, because there is really no difference between, me waking up in the morning, getting on here and turning on a camera and making a video than there was in the ITN days. There's no difference. So it still hasn't set in yet.
Yeah, it's great to still have the passion for it. And look, you're getting up, and I know from my side anyway, you're the exact same. I'd say that you put in incredible hours behind the scenes. It's not you just turn on the camera for 20 minutes someday and a video comes out. There's a lot that goes on behind that. So it's but to me it's not work. It's something I enjoy doing. So it's great to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's a nice living, that's for sure.
Yeah. You mentioned the ghost chain narrative, and we still have that as well. There's still lots of people out there will claim Cardano ghost chain, and whether that's a fear of Cardano or whether that is their actual belief, smart contracts should be extremely close. Do you think we will have it in September, or when do you think we'll have it?
I could definitely see us having smart contracts by the end of the month, early of September. But what it reminds me of is the Shelley days, right? When we came out with Shelley, and there were a few promises that we didn't have yet. Multi-delegation wallets. There were some other parameter changes that we wanted at the time. We wanted an A0 change. We wanted a K parameter change. I think that it's going to be similar when Plutus launches, except the difference is we're not waiting for Goguen anymore. So Goguen is going to be the main focus. So I think we're going to have a launch, and it's going to essentially be like the layer 0 launch, where it's like developing a website in the early 2000s, where you don't have JavaScript yet, you don't have WordPress, you don't have all of this tooling that makes things easier, because you're the first one ever doing it. You're having to design these tools yourself, and when you design these tools, hopefully they're open source for other people to use as well. But I do think we're going to have smart contracts on Cardano next month, and if not, the latest October. But I do think they're going to be like a layer 0 version of the smart contracts while we wait on tools. Same thing happened with Shelley. We used to have to create stake pools, with just lines of CLI. We used to do transactions with lines of CLI. Well, now there's tools where anyone can set up a stake pool in an hour, whereas it would take me days back in the past.
Yeah, and I suppose that's what Charles has kind of said as well, that we don't have to go through every color. So for people who've seen the chart of the different phases of the testnet, we don't have to get to the very end of that to have the hard fork. So the hard fork will happen, which brings the node software up, but then the tooling and everything else will all follow. And it's going to just keep following. From what I see, there's always going to be new tools coming online, new ways of being able to develop, making it easier, as you say, going from CLI to having complete scripts and making it very easy for people to set stuff up. And it will be very similar. You're on the testnet as well, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
How's that going on that side? From what Charles says, it seems fairly good. Few bugs, but that's standard in any software.
Yeah, it seems less buggy than Shelley was by a large margin. And you can also see, this momentum that Charles always speaks of. He says, we were slow in the past, but, we've built up momentum. I mean, will you see that in the people that, are both participating in the testnet and also from IOG, how fast they're spinning up new node versions, how fast Alonzo White 3.0 comes out. And then, okay, we're all doing a different network. We're all jumping to, okay, now the kilobyte size is increased. And I really thought about this for a while, because my first response to launching it without all of the tooling was, well, why? Why don't we just wait until we have all of the tooling? We've been waiting for so long. Why don't we just release it all together? But then I thought about it, and it's not just Charles at the helm anymore. It's not just IOG. I just got off the call with somebody before this, and, it was a company that probably has, hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're choosing Cardano as the protocol to build on. So if Goguen is released next month and the tools aren't there, but this company, has this vision of something they want to accomplish, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to build the tools. They're going to open source them and give them to other people. So by having the code launched and allowing people to build those tools, you're not going to just see IOG finishing these tools. You're going to see other people in the community doing the same thing, just as we saw with stake pools,
Yeah, that's exactly where we want to get to, I suppose. And on that, stake pools, we've seen so many different tools, different ways of running the pools as well, from different operators out there that have created some brilliant tools that make it so much easier. So hopefully we will see that with smart contracts as well. And I suppose that's all part of the vision, is that it comes away from being just Charles there or being IOHK, or that eventually it will be just the community is driving the driving force behind it. So other projects that you're bullish on. So obviously you're very bullish on Cardano. Is there anything else that you are kind of confident on or investing into?
I think I saw your video with World Mobile. World Mobile's one of them. I'm very excited for them. To me, I call it a Cardano investment, because if Cardano is going to do well, I think World Mobile inherently will too. Same with most of the coins I hold, unfortunately, are the Cardano investments. I hold Ergo, hold SDAO, hold AGIX, I hold World Mobile, and I hold Bitcoin, and then a little bit of ETH, to do my daily transactions and SDAO buys on there. But World Mobile, I'm very excited for. To me, it just seems like the perfect, use case of the Cardano blockchain. They're using it as a way to incentivize action. And that action is not participating in a DeFi project. That action is actually, connecting real people and building real infrastructure for real people in this world. It's not just, trading, phony numbers with phony DeFi tokens, back and forth. It's a real company using a blockchain to provide real incentive to real people to connect the unconnected. And it just makes me excited,
Yeah, from the first time, I think I've had Mickey on twice now, but the first time I talked to him, I was thinking before it, yeah, I probably will get invested into it. But after talking to him, even on the call and after it, it was like I was sold on the vision and where they're going to go. And again, when I see IOHK investing into a company or taking a big interest in it, that's kind of a seal of approval. I know it's not an official seal of approval, but for me, who is invested in this ecosystem, I see that as a really good sign as well. And if they can fulfill even half of their vision, then there's huge potential there. The other ones you mentioned there, Ergo, I still kick myself that I haven't got into it yet. I've been watching it since around $2, $3, waiting for opportunities to get in. I will own it at some stage, but don't yet. AGIX, and was it SDAO you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there too, I haven't fully looked into. Ben, extremely smart guy for AGIX. So again, one that I need a bit more research. But you had Ben on before, didn't you?
Yeah, and that's I'm not going to say that I'm some savvy investor, man. I haven't had enough time in the markets to make the 100% best decisions. But what I did notice was when I invested in Cardano, in a way I was investing in at first Charles. Now I'm not investing in Charles, right? Yeah. And I did that because he was, a genius. I felt like he was a visionary. And I feel the same way about Ben Gortzel. I'm investing in someone who I feel is very smart. I feel that, can accomplish real change in this world. Ergo, it's honestly a similar thing, but also there's another use case there. Alex Trupanoy, hopefully I pronounced his last name right. He is just a smart dude. I had him on and he's just ahead of the game. I mean, he already has a blockchain built in extended UTXO. So, we're all betting on this horse that is ADA, right? And it's extended UTXO, but there's something called IMPAPAUS, and IMPAPAUS help, prove something, and specifically proving interoperability. Apparently, and I'm not 100% on this because it's pretty complicated, with extended UTXO and the Ergo blockchain, you can do an IMPAPAU that allows you to verifiably prove the transaction between two chains. And, as we head towards this, blockchain of blockchains where we're all inoperable with each other and each blockchain has its own niche use case, I feel that as ADA does well, so will Ergo as the secondary proof of work use case for Cardano, and I was lucky enough to get in at like 30 cents, so
nice.
I've been holding it for a while. And I had him on my podcast too. And it was the same thing, like you said, with Mickey, how he just sold you on it. I had Alex on. I'm like, that dude is smart, way smarter than me. He can do more with this than I can,
Yeah, it's definitely that. The person involved in the person who heads up cryptocurrency, you can see that they actually believe in it. Look, I've been in and out of different coins since 2017 properly. I think 2016 was my first Bitcoin. Didn't hold any of it, but seen so many projects come and go. But when one project leader stands out and they actually do believe in it, you see so many that are just saying what the community wants them to say, or when you actually listen to them, you don't get that belief in them. So when I do see a project like that I can get into long term, I think I've got a lot more safer in my own investing. I do hold Bitcoin, I hold Cardano. I get into projects that I think long term, I don't care what happens short term. Long term, I believe where things can go. It's good to hear you hold a small bit of Ethereum as well, because I do hold a bit of Ethereum too, nowhere near the amount of Cardano that I hold. But sometimes you get this narrative of sort of in the maximalism territory that if you hold Cardano, you can't hold Ethereum or you can't hold other coins. And that's not good in any coin. I think you have to be open to, we even seen Charles post yesterday about congratulating Ethereum on what they've achieved with EIP 559 or 15, can't think of it now. It doesn't, the London hard fork.
I think it's 1559. You were close.
Yeah. The London hard fork. And we have to be able to do that. We have to be able to look around and acknowledge the achievement of other cryptocurrencies. Crypto isn't a zero-sum game. It's not one succeeds and everything else fails. Like you mentioned there, interoperability is going to be massive for the future.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And, with all of the regulation stuff that's going on right now, do you see how like small-minded it is and, ignorant it is to, be fighting each other and trying to take down each other when, the real enemy here is regulation that's trying to limit the growth and the impact that blockchain has on the world?
Yeah, with what's going on in the US, we can talk about it a bit. I suppose the regulation that the bill they're looking to bring in, to me, they're very short-sighted in what they're trying to do. So they're looking at getting a big tax payday, which they might and they mightn't get, but long-term they're going to kill themselves because technology companies in the blockchain space are not going to be opening up in the US. As well as that, they really hamper US citizens getting involved in lots of different cryptocurrencies or crypto companies wanting to deal with US citizens. It's there's a lot of education needed there, and I hope they don't rush into making this bill that kind of scares away a lot of companies with what went on in China, where they're pushing out the miners and stuff. They want their digital yuan. That's a different angle they're coming from anyway, but the US has a huge opportunity to attract them. So we see some of the amendments to the bill that are trying to get put forward some are trying to allow proof of work, but still excluding proof of stake, which will be Cardano and lots of other chains as well. What's your take on it as a US citizen?
So the first part that makes me the most angry is that it's in an infrastructure bill. So for the past 2 years, we've seen many of these infrastructure bills be pushed out. And, a year ago, the right and the left would always have something to say about the last paragraph in these bills, because it would always be something crazy, like $10 billion going for, gender studies programs in Israel was one that I saw last year. So what makes me the most angry is that in a bill, they can just do changes to an entire industry like this. And maybe that's necessary, if something like an emergency happens, but it's hidden in there. And half of the people that are voting on this don't even understand, probably more than half, what a proof of stake validator node or what is a blockchain validator node. And the goal is to increase tax compliance. And I'll tell you right now that it is going to do the exact opposite, because as a proof of stake company, I report every single thing that I do to the government. Every dollar I make, they take half of it. So they're not going to increase tax compliance at all because I already do comply with my taxes. The issue is you have to self-comply with your taxes. Well, I want to operate in this industry and I want to be in this industry forever. So I'm going to comply with my taxes and self-comply. But what they're doing is they're introducing a law that states that if any transacting of swapping of two currencies happens on a stake pool node, then they have to KYC that customer and give that data to the IRS, when in reality, that's not possible because I can't determine what transactions are processed through my node. So they're introducing, a law that can't be followed. So what is that going to do? It's going to reduce tax compliance, because if you're introducing a law that my company can't follow and I'm going to be under scrutiny if I, don't follow it, then what is there to do other than leave? Yeah. So you're pushing, all of the people in this country that are in, the most revolutionary industry right now, you're pushing them all out of your country. And let's think about what would happen if you would have done the same thing during the dot-com bubble. Your country will be left to die. It's sad, and a lot of stake pool operators are in the United States, a lot of them. And I'm fortunate enough to actually have the option, to do that if it comes down to it. But there are others that don't. So as I complain about this, I must say that I'm thankful for what I have to be so worried that this could happen in the first place. But there are others who maybe won't have the resources, and other people that follow the same path that I did, where they're just a college kid and they want to mine, or they want to do this as a hobby to learn more, to intellectually push themselves towards the future, and now they can't do that because of some bullshit law that's supposed to increase tax compliance, but the law of unintended consequences, it actually does the exact opposite.
Yeah, it's a complete, as I say, it's short-sighted. I think there's a mix of not enough education, just what you said there about actually confirming transactions on the node. I hadn't even considered that side of it, which it's impossible to do that. Like, I was thinking from the side of paying out staking rewards, but they don't understand that the protocol does that. It's not like we get all the rewards every 5 days and we manually send them. That's all handled by the protocol. And so
I didn't even think about it from that point. I didn't think about it even from paying out the tokens, because that is in a way a transfer of tokens, right?
Yeah.
I was looking at it as like an exchange. Like, let's say there's like a Uniswap of Cardano and they do a transaction on there. Who's going to process that? Well, depending on how many transactions I consistently process, one of them is going to be me. And that one, I'm going to have to report to the IRS, and it's just impossible.
You can't do it. Like, there's even the thing then, me as a stake pool operator outside the US, I can't stop US members or US people going onto the Cardano blockchain and making transactions that I may or may not validate. It's a crazy law. I do agree that
the United States government's pretty scary too. If you mess with their citizens, they'll come after you sometimes.
That's it, yeah. So it's not it's not just the US, unfortunately. It's like this has ramifications on the whole of crypto. So that's why tribalism within cryptocurrency, and I don't like that crypto or they don't like that. If someone within a cryptocurrency makes good points or education on this, we all need to spread it around so that people understand what they're actually voting on. Like one of the amendments was to actually specify what a broker is. So I can't even think of the names. The first amendment that came out was where essentially they want to leave it that it's the likes of Coinbase, Kraken, Binance. They're the ones that have to report taxes and everything like that, which I fully agree with. Look, if you're using the centralized exchange, you agree to KYC, pay your taxes, regulation. If we want crypto to go where we all want it to go, then regulation is inevitable. It has to come in. We have to accept that if we want to grow, but just not in this exact form that they're trying to bring in right now. This kills innovation.
Yeah, and of course, I'm under the opinion of, well, why do we pay taxes anyway when the government printed 30% of the total supply last year? But at the same time, paying my taxes is going to ensure, that the government is okay with our industry. So from day one, we've paid all of our taxes and we continue to do so. And it's just unfortunate that, we're rewarded for giving half of our income as a company. We're rewarded with, leave. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it just pushes a lot offshore. Like you say, you're in the position where you could potentially go if you needed to, but there's so many others that unfortunately don't have that option to move. So hopefully there's some sense seen before they crush the blockchain industry over there.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, that's
so. I don't know when you're going to upload this, but it could have already passed. When you're watching this video.
Yeah, I did actually record another one to put up. I might put up these two videos today, so my one first, and then this one later on tonight as well, just to double get the message out there.
Yeah.
So I suppose move on to NFTs. It's a space that I have been, I suppose, not fully bought into since the beginning. I'm slowly coming around a lot more to it. I see what's going on Ethereum, and it's just crazy. The prices that I see being paid out there for some of the NFTs. What's your thoughts on the space as just digital art, as bringing gaming into it? For me, can't wait to see the next evolution in terms of gaming and how that can go.
Yeah. So I've really been taking an interest in NFTs since Space Buds. Before Space Buds, I didn't really see the use case there. I was like, oh, digital artwork. I like real things, physical in my hand. This doesn't make any sense. But Space Buds like kind of unlocked something in me where I was like, okay, I see what it is now. It's like trading cards. It's like it's just the next evolution of collecting things. But then I started to think about it more, and at the protocol level, there is no nuance between a artwork and a bond that's paying you return. So you might be looking at NFTs right now and thinking, oh, well, this is stupid. They're trading a bunch of money for this digital artwork, these NFTs. But behind the scenes, they're building tooling that will be used for the future financial system relative to NFTs, because like imagine if you just pull together a bunch of NFTs into a liquidity pool and you pay out a certain amount of funds relative to what the smart contract says. And this time it's digital artwork. Next time it's going to be, houses or bonds or, all of these other things. So I honestly am very excited for NFTs on Cardano as a use case. And I'm excited about everyone that's building tooling for NFTs because it's the foundation for the future financial system. And to touch on that even more, I mentioned earlier that I've played games my entire life. Well, I'd played some games where as soon as you introduce an economic aspect to it, the users flood in because it's a lot easier to play, Counter-Strike and receive a random skin at the end of the game than it is to work a job. And it is way funner to gamble and open packs than it is to work a job. So I saw with Counter-Strike where they were a dying game and they introduced an economy on top of the game. And the economy was called CSGO skins. And you would get a random item at the end of the game, or you'd open a pack and get a random item. And that could be valued at $20,000 at the high end, or it could be valued at $1 or 50 cents at the low end. So people were gambling on these packs, but as soon as they introduced this feature that no one had ever done before, they were quickly reaching 1 million users from thousands to millions, like in 6 months, right? So as a way to bring people into cryptocurrency, say you're layman, what you do is you build a kick-ass video game with a kick-ass economy on top of it, and you integrate it within the Cardano blockchain, and you will get as many users from this video game as you do from signing an Atala Prism contract in Africa.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I see as going to bring huge adoption into cryptocurrency in general is the gaming side of it. Being able to, so lots of games, there's a whole generation now is growing up playing games from extremely young, playing these games where you have to buy skins, buy characters, buy weapons within games, but you can only use them within that game. So when you introduce the concept of they can buy these items, but they're actually NFTs that they can sell on the marketplace or that you can earn within a game, then that's going to be absolutely massive. You see Axie Infinity over on Ethereum already just exploding with people earning their living just playing on the game. It's an industry that's going to be huge. There's another one, Illuvium on Ethereum. I don't know if you've seen any of the...
I've seen Axie's Infinity, but I haven't seen Illuvium.
Yeah, you should look up some of the videos of what they're actually producing, and the graphics in the game looks like it's going to be incredible. The actual game won't be out until next year, but the token has exploded over the last few weeks. I don't own any. Sorry, I don't. But some of the gameplay looks like it will be incredible.
Yeah, and it's merging, two types of people. Because I am somewhere in the middle. Like I love gaming, but I've always had this, this urge to learn about finance and to, really dive into that. And I feel like when I used to play video games all the time, I always loved the games with an economy. I loved interacting with the economy. I loved like building myself up in the economy or, building a business in these games. And I feel like merging those two things, but actually having real value is especially as we go into like the world of virtual realities too. It's 20 years from now, these games mixed with cryptocurrency is really going to be a crazy thing.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to seeing what types of games and everything come out on top of Cardano. it's definitely a space that over the next year, I think will look extremely different 12 months from now. And to me, it's only going to explode. So just on NFTs then, on Cardano versus other chains. So we see they're absolutely exploding on Ethereum and other chains. When native assets came onto Cardano, that was something that people really jumped on because it was a use case that could be done on the blockchain, even though we didn't have smart contracts. So what do you see as the difference, I suppose, between Cardano, between Ethereum, any other ones that you have checked out? I suppose it relative to NFTs.
So there are like actually, niche blockchains that focus specifically on gaming and NFTs, and I haven't dove into them yet. I haven't. So really my good comparison is between Ethereum and Cardano, the two that I know. And, as you mentioned, native assets were introduced in February with the Merry Hard Fork. And really, I immediately saw the most evident use case, and it was fees. It is way cheaper from both a business perspective and a user perspective to buy and sell NFTs on Cardano. The actual cost to mint an NFT and send it, I want to say, is about a little over 2 ADA. So if you're doing, say 4,000 NFTs, well, that's going to be, 8,000 ADA. And let's compare that to Ethereum, because you also have to send the NFT. So you're having a minting fee for the creation of the token, and then you're going to have the fee to send the token to another user, and you have to do that at scale. Well, on Ethereum, when you're building, let's say, a project where they're selling 10,000 NFTs, you don't even know what the cost is going to be from the smart contract perspective or the user perspective when you create the smart contract, because it's determined based on the current fee structure in Ethereum, and that's based on people bidding to be in the nearest block, right? So from the user perspective, I mean, you can spend, let's say you want to pick up 10 NFTs, you can spend like $500 in TX fees doing that,
Yeah.
Whereas on Cardano, I can have people purchase 10 NFTs at the same time and pay, the total cost between both them and I is at most, 2 to 3 ADA. And your first thought is, well, ADA is not as big as ETH yet. So as the price of ADA goes up, well, no, because Cardano will have governance and you can actually vote on what these fees are. So it's not determined based on what the miners are willing to extract. It's determined on what the community votes on, what ought these fees to be as the price of ADA goes up. Because as we get to, let's say a $5 ADA, no financial advice, that's going to be an expensive NFT transaction. We're starting to compare to ETH there. So immediately what we do as a community is, we lobby together and say, hey, these fees need to come down to support people in other countries. So I released a tweet the other day, and so far I think we sold about, 4,000 NFTs. And I worked with, the engineer that was helping when we ran the math on how much it would cost, because a lot of these NFTs are distributed at the same time. If you buy 10 of them at the same time, it cuts that cost down from, say a little over 2 ADA. It cuts that cost down to, about 2.5 ADA for 10 NFTs. So nice. We sold, 4,000 NFTs, and that cost us, anywhere from, $2,000 to $4,000. And the only variable in that amount was if someone was buying one NFT or 10 of them. So if you needed to know the set amount, you could just limit the amount of NFTs they buy or require that they buy 5, and that's the max. So you can get a deterministic value from both the user perspective and both the entrepreneurial perspective of what the blockchain is going to cost you, because at its core, all these blockchains are tools, and right now they're being used for, NFT projects. So.
Yeah, I suppose that is really important, both as a business side, that you can determine what the cost of your business is going to be, so you can price your items. End user as well, you don't want to bid $100 on an NFT and then realize you have to spend another $50 to actually pay the transaction fee to receive it then, or whatever way they work it. So you mentioned as well you've sold 4,000 NFTs. What's the project as well? Do you want to get into that?
Yeah, for sure. So Earlier this week, it was on Monday. I actually did it on my Monday AMA. I released a project, and at first, the project is a gallery. It's called Mycelial Gallery, and we're going to be doing multiple drops, but they're going to be a good comparison, in my opinion, is like Cardano. Our drops are going to take a while. They're going to be very meticulous and planned out. We have been actually working on this since February, since the Merry Hard Fork, and we're finally releasing it now. And we probably won't release another one for probably 6 months. But our first drop is called the Pioneer Collection. And it's based on, all of the founders of Cardano, the pioneers, the people that we based a lot of our thought and our theory on. So, and also the release cycles to look at them from a normal standpoint. So then you have Shelley, Goguen,
get up here while you're talking about it.
Appreciate that. You have Shelley, Goguen, Voltaire, Cardano, Ada Lovelace, and each of these, there is only a certain amount of them. So as you're looking at the screen right now, you see the Cardano, and there's 4 different tiers there. You have unframed, black framed, silver frame, and gold frame. Gold frame is the most rare. But what's very unique about this project relative to other projects is we're actually going to be using smart contracts on Cardano when they're complete. So as you see the tiers there, you see the unframed. Well, let's say you collect all 7 of the unframed. Well, you can actually use a Cardano smart contract to burn all 7 of those NFTs, and then you get an 8th NFT in return. So you're looking at this, and you might compare it to SpaceBuds. Well, SpaceBuds had 10,000, so obviously those are more scarce. Well, what's very interesting about my project is that number is constantly going up and going down. There are only 50 gold Cardanos right now. So when people start burning, how many gold Cardanos are going to be left? How many of the 8th gold cards are going to be available? Because when you burn, you can only burn 7 of the different characters and of the different tiers. And when you burn all 7, you get an 8th card that's a gold tier. So how many 8th cards are there actually going to be? That's what we all have to find out. And it's up to you as a community to burn them and figure that out as well, and choose whether you want the 8th card or the 7. And I'm honestly happy to release it. As you guys know, we're going to have a lot more utility when smart contracts come out on Cardano, where this drop would have been a lot easier. But we actually did this in a centralized format using the Cardano blockchain to still mint the NFTs. And, we're very excited that our next projects are all just going to be done much easier through smart contracts. And we're also donating 10% of the profit to MAPS. And MAPS is, they're a company in the United States, a nonprofit organization that is actually pushing psychedelic research. They've done breakthrough trials on MDMA. They've done breakthrough trials on psilocybin cubensis, which is, the trippy mushroom that you've all heard about, as far as, removing addictions from people, removing PTSD from people. And when comparing that to, traditional medicine, as far as, longevity of their life and lifestyle, it has significantly increased. So we're happy to support that, project, and all of our future donations will be for psychedelic research as well, but we're not sure if MAPS will be the one always. And it's real simple. You can just go to our website at mycelialgallery.io, and then you can click buy now, and you can purchase 1 through 10, and then you get a random, character. And we'll be releasing the burning smart contract as soon as Goguen allows it, or also, when we sell out, if Goguen is available then. And then once the smart contract is released, you'll have 3 months to burn. And then the minting is done. These NFTs will be there forever. I don't have control over them. You do, and I can't mint or burn any after those 3 months.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I'll put a link to this down below as well. So I'll be putting all of BigPay's details down below, Twitter, YouTube, and I'll put a link to this down below as well. I might have to try Lucky Dip after this as well and see. It's all completely random, is it? So when you go through the process here, you just set up, and it'll get, you put in how many you want to buy, and it gives you one random NFT, is it?
Yep. And then I there's the pricing structure too. So when we were determining the pricing structure, we wanted to allow people to actually participate in it. SpaceBuds, I missed out on the initial drop, right? Because I saw it and there were 100 ADA a piece, and I'm like, I can't pay 100 ADA for something. Like, there's something in me where I'm like, a digital artwork, 100 ADA, I can't do it. So what I wanted to do with this one is increase the supply and lower that price down, because the most entertaining part of getting these NFTs is buying them. It's getting a random one. It's not going to a secondary market and picking the exact one you want. It's buying a few of them to see if you can get lucky and get the one that you're really excited for. So what we did was we lowered the price down to the initial start price of 20 ADA, and then it goes 20, 30, and 40. And the increments are at the 33% mark. So 33%, you're going up to 30 ADA, 30 more percent, you're going up to 40 ADA. And that's the last amount. Last night while I was sleeping, we reached 10,000 sold, so and it's only been 3 days. So we're moving around. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's moving much faster because like I said, I wanted more people to participate. I was also looking at the longevity of the project as well. I wanted somebody, 2 months from now to be able to buy one of these. But it doesn't look like that's going to be able to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, I suppose it's like when I was a kid back in school, you buy these sticker packs, you were collecting the whole football team or something like that. So you open the pack, but you never knew which ones you were actually going to get in it. So I suppose that was part of the draw of it, was you don't know what you're going to get.
That's the fun part for me, it's the randomization.
I think, look, I know we're going on now nearly 50 minutes. So anything you want to close us out with? Anything else we didn't cover that you wanted to bring up or that we should know?
I think we covered a lot of good topics here today. I would be willing, if you're willing as well, to give away 3 of those random NFTs to anybody watching this video if they made it to the end.
Yeah,
would you
perfect.
be interested in that?
Yeah, we can do that. What way will we do it? If they just the people who comment below.
Yep. If you made it till the end, comment down below. We got to give them a word. We want to make it.
I don't know. I was going to say MAPS, since that's the charity that you're donating to. So include MAPS within the comment. And then I will either do a live stream or something next week. Or do you want to do it on your channel? Do you want to pick the winners?
Yeah, I'll just use some random comments thing. And I'll reply to you and say, hey, DM me on Discord, and I'll send it to you. Sorry to make things complicated. I just thought it would be cool for people participating. I love giving these things out.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, that's how they do it. They include MAPS in any comment they want to leave down below. So I really appreciate your time. I really enjoyed the conversation anyway, getting to know you a bit better, learning a bit more about Cardano as well. And as I say, I'll put all the links down below. Thanks to everyone that has tuned in. I'll put BigPay's details below. Give the video a like, share it out there, comment to get into the giveaway as well. And I'll talk to you all soon. BigPay, thanks very much for joining.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I'll see you guys.